there, and welcome to part 4 of the series of 5 webinars produced by Drinkwise Agewell. This webinar will give you the opportunity to listen to an open and honest conversation about being a woman and the impact of drinking. Pauline and Sarah have their own experience and history of alcohol and are now working with Drinkwise Agewell to really share that experience and really encourage others to start talking about alcohol and its impacts, particularly in relation to being a woman. The idea behind this part of the webinar came from a request from a group of women who are all over the age of 50 and wanted to explore the relationship between alcohol and women, as well as thinking about any gender-specific issues that there may be. So what do we know? Women aged between 55 and 64 are most likely to exceed the 14 units a week guidelines. Also, of men and women who are aged 55 to 74 were found to be the most likely age group to have an alcohol-related hospital admission. Women are also more at risk of alcohol harm simply because of how their bodies react to alcohol. For example, if a man and a woman drink the same amount of alcohol units, the woman's alcohol blood level will almost always be higher. This is because women's bodies generally have a higher proportion of body fat in comparison to a man's, so have less water. This means that alcohol is more concentrated. Women are also more likely to be drinking at home, where alcohol is cheaper to buy and house measures are being used. And this means that it can be much easier to exceed the weekly guidelines. Therefore, there is a greater risk of harm. It is also important to mention that alcohol can act as a trigger for some of the symptoms of menopause, such as hot flushes and night sweats, as well as causing sleep difficulties and weight gain. If your mood and energy levels are already affected by menopause, drinking alcohol can worsen these symptoms. Alcohol is known to cause 7 types of cancer, including breast cancer, mouth cancer, and liver cancer. Breast cancer is the 4th biggest cause of cancer deaths in the UK and is by far the most common cancer in women. One of the biggest risk factors is age. At least 4 out of 5 breast cancers occur in women over the age of 50. Lastly, women also live longer on average in comparison to men, so are more likely to end their later years alone and possibly isolated, particularly if they don't drive or they have mobility issues. Unfortunately, this is where alcohol use can be used as a way of coping with that isolation and the challenges that they're facing. You're now going to get the opportunity to hear from Pauline and Sarah, who are discussing their own experience of alcohol and how it can impact on women.
I mean, I'm lucky now that Abby we get on so well, because I do think that, I think I said in one of my workshops with Mary, I was trying to work it out. I started drinking when I was 16. I'm 54 now, so I think that's 38 years of drinking. Only 10 of those have been sober.
Yeah.
So when your daughter's only 21 and your son's 24, that's a lot of their life spent drinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously, during those times, I didn't think that they knew I was drinking half the time.
Of course you don't.
No. And also, they've seen horrible things. They've seen me jumping out of the car as the car's going along because of arguments. They've seen me drunk, falling down the stairs, drunk, asleep on the toilet, loads of things. And you do feel really, really guilty.
Yeah.
But the best thing about all of it now is mine and my son's relationship is brilliant, and mine and my daughter's is the best sort of relationship I could ever have. And I didn't think I was ever going to get it. But lots also is because I feel guilty. I still feel guilty that
you feel guilt and shame.
Yeah. Feel guilt and shame about what you think they missed out on. And I still find it, I expect you're the same, Paul, to say no to Abby and James. They're adults now, and I still find it hard to say, oh no, you're not having that. Oh no, you're not doing that, because I think, oh, but when I was drinking, my son played football. Unless he had a lift to get to football, he couldn't go.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Because I was drinking. My daughter used to go horse riding in a local Oakland stable just down the road. I either had to get somebody else to take her. So imagine all that horse riding she did, and mother wasn't there to see her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of guilt there, and no matter how hard I try, I still find it really hard to forget that guilt.
Yeah, I'm a wee bit the opposite, Sarah, because I had a huge amount of money, and it wasn't a lot of money. Like, if Jennifer, I would be like buying a new laptop, she would go into the room, buy a laptop, need a new phone, getting a new phone. You want this, but I would just buy stuff just to make, I don't know, compensate or whatever. But I couldn't do it now, my God. But at the time, it was like get a laptop, so get in the room, get a new phone, get a telly for the room, get just so that I could be left on my own, so you could keep on drinking. But it is shame and guilt. It is. But like yourself, today everything's touch wood, rosy in the garden. But we'll see how long that lasts.
There's not a day that goes past that I don't wish I could have a drink.
No, definitely, aye.
Yeah. But when I think like what we did yesterday and what we're talking about now is helped me realise that there's more important things than alcohol. Yeah. Although I definitely want one, I would love to have a glass of wine or a vodka, anything. But now I try and think about how far I've come and how easy it would be to go down that slippery slope.
Yeah. Because when I started Add Action, my key worker used to say to me, like, the first year, today is a new start, forget about your past, but I've got to remember what happened in my past. I've got to go back there to keep me no drinking now. It's like today's just starting a new life, your past is your past, forget it. I can't forget that. I've got to go back there. If ever I felt having a drink, I've got to go back and remember what it was like when I was drinking. I can't leave it behind.
No,
it works for some people, it doesn't work for me.
I mean, if I think about, like, I could go to the fridge now and there's 2 half bottles of wine, right? And if I was in the state I was in about 5 years ago, I would have just drunk that out the bottle. When I put it in a glass, just drunk it out the bottle, sod it, don't care. And those thoughts have come into my mind over the last couple of days since it's been there. Part of me thinks throw it away, then it's out of the way. But then part of me thinks, well, it's not mine. It's my, So back then, when I was drinking, I didn't care whose it was. I just used to drink it anyway. But what I'm trying to say is it's not my alcohol. I can't drink that. And then I have visions of what it was like when I took that first sip. I don't know, 3 years ago, and thinking that, one sip will be enough. But then before I knew it, that one sip was the bottle, and then I was straight in the shop back to square one again. And that's what I think of when I see those bottles in the fridge. I think, just don't do it. Just don't do it. You've come too far. Just don't do it. Carry it everywhere with me. I don't know if you can see it. I never know where to. It's a tiny piece of paper. Can you see the picture?
Yeah.
Well, Abby did that. There's a miserable face or drunken face and a happy face. Before she went to university, she was going through all her stuff in her bedroom. So this was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I can't remember. 3 years. She's in her 3rd year. And she came downstairs and she was going through all her stuff. And she said to me, I found some scraps of, she's always drawing and writing and stuff. And she says, I'm just going to throw it all in the bin. And I said, well, what are you throwing in the bin? She said, I don't want you to see it. I said, well, let me see it. So she said, oh, this is it. So anyway, she cut it out and just handed it to me, folded it up like this. Anyway, I opened it and it says, it's got 2 sides of mum written on it. And then there's a drunken looking face with my eye all, well, I must have funny eyes when I'm drunk because my eyes looks a bit funny. And it says, I'm embarrassed. Mum's embarrassing. I'm shameful. I'm grumpy. I'm drunk. I'm confused and I'm not with it. And on the other side, it's got a picture of happy mum. And it's got happy, sober, normal, lovable, lovely and nice.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to our series of webinars. You can also find more information on our website, which is www.drinkwisage.org. drinkwiseagewell.org.uk, including details of our alcohol helpline for older adults. This helpline is for anyone over 50 who would like free and confidential support with alcohol. If you would like to check if your service is doing the best it can for older adults who are drinking, then please take a look at our aims. So this is our Age Inclusive Model Service Toolkit, which walks you through ensuring your service and support is accessible for all ages and stages in life. It contains lots of helpful tips and information and allows you to rate your service against checklists and standards that have been created in co-production with older adults. Thanks again.